So if you logged into Facebook ads in the past like month or so, you've probably gotten this relatively scary message about the impacts of iOS 14 in Apple iOS products that's going to impact Facebook and in fact any other marketing activity that utilizes conversion tracking. So we're going to dive through what the actual impact is, because I've gotten like probably 20 messages from you, from all of you asking like how is this going to affect us musicians and artists trying to market our music using Facebook ads. And there's some good news and there's some bad news, and there's a lot we know and there's a lot we don't know. So yeah, let's just dive into it. So first of all, if you click that thing in Facebook ads, you'll end up at this article, how Apple's iOS 14 release may affect your ads. And you probably read this and realized, I don't really know what this is going to do. So there's a few things that come out of this. Now, the biggest one that I think is the scariest is that when people use iOS 14 and they use Facebook, they're going to get this message. And this message basically is letting people turn off or allow inter-app tracking, meaning that if you were trying to send someone from Facebook to another app, or essentially just another app, will you allow Facebook to track between Facebook and that other application, or will you not? Now, the thing in regards to our ads, sending people from a landing page to Spotify, when someone opens up that landing page, they're opening it up in the internal Facebook browser. And that's where our conversion takes place before they jump over to Spotify. So I think in regards to that specific part of this, I think we're fine. And don't turn off the video yet, because there's some more nuance to this. But because that conversion happens there, I think the conversion's registered, and then we're hunky-dory, because the tracking only is actually happening inside of Facebook. So that means that if you're trying to sell like applications or getting people to download your app or send someone to a browser that's different from the internal Facebook browser, you might lose some tracking there. So if you're doing like a sales funnel that revolves around going to like a full version of Chrome to check out, or something where someone might be logged in, you might lose some leads. And there might be some impact with this if you're using like some kind of redirect where someone, instead of opening the internal Facebook browser, it opens up in Chrome, you might lose the tracking. And there's a couple impacts of that as well. So if we read through this, we'll see kind of what they're saying. Yeah, here we go. So reporting limitations. What's going to happen is that if someone has to go to another application like the full version of Chrome to do whatever you're trying to get them to do, you're going to be missing out on some conversions, because anyone that's using iOS 14, which is potentially going to be every iOS user at some point, right? You're not going to be registering all your conversions, which means that Facebook's not going to learn who actually converted, which means your optimization is going to be lower, which means less Spotify results or less sales on whatever merch you're trying to push with your Facebook ads. Again, we do things a little differently. We have all our conversions happen inside of the Facebook internal browser, and then they get routed to Spotify. So I think in that front, that specific type of ad, I think we're fine. But there are some other things that come out of this. Again, that's official. And that is the whole bit about verifying your website's domain. If you're using a landing page service, I believe it's up to that landing page provider to verify it, and I'm sure they're going to be on top of that. They probably are already verified. But the other impact is that they're only going to be able to track up to 8 different conversion events, and that's somewhere inside of here, yeah. Your pixel may only optimize for a maximum of 8 conversion events for each domain, meaning that something like ToneDen, where they only track view content and page views, it's perfectly fine. Something like DistroKid's Hyperfollow, right now they're tracking everything, which is great, right? They track each individual service, they track all services track, they track play and pause on the preview, they track if they open up that artwork. They might have to strip back what events that they allow to happen on Hyperfollow, which is kind of a bummer. And some other services might have that impact as well, where you won't be able to have as much granularity in your actual tracking. And if you use your own website, you're going to have to go and verify your domain according to this thing here. I believe it's an easy process. And you're going to have to make sure you don't set up too many events. If you have a store and you have like page view, view content, initiate checkout, add to cart, purchase, and maybe you have all these other things that you're doing on like landing pages, you might have to simplify your approach if you're going with your own website. Now, I was doing some research in this to see what other people pulled out of this article, and there's some other impacts that might actually affect us. For example, retargeting ads. if it's not 100% sure, but you can imagine that if some actions are being attributed to your pixel and your conversion, you might not be able to retarget certain people that convert because they weren't registered inside of that. Now, I also heard some rumors in various websites I looked at. This is Andrea Val. I don't know who that is. I just Googled stuff. I heard some rumors that iOS 14 is going to make it harder or maybe impossible to track by age and gender, which means that we might not be able to hit the right people that we want to hit on iOS 14. And there's also some other impacts of it that they might not be able to fully track certain detailed targeting things, but it seemed like that was kind of theoretical stuff. And there was also some other rumors that it would only actually track the last pixel event that occurred on the website, meaning that if you had a checkout or a purchase rather, you're not going to get that view content, that lead, that initiate checkout, that add to cart, and the purchase. You're only going to see the purchase. But again, these last few things were just rumors, apparently from a trusted source, but who knows what that means with this. In general, these actual changes don't actually come into effect, I think, until March. So we do have some time before things will come into effect. And even then, you have to remember, like, marketing changes all the time. So don't panic. But you also got to realize that iOS isn't the whole market. Like, yes, a lot of people have iPhones, but also a lot of people have Androids and use desktop. So it's not the end of the world. We might have some minor impacts for us, the way we do or the way that I show you how to do my ads. But in general, most of us, I think, will be fine. If you're going to more complex setups or doing more inter-app things, then you might have more impact than what I do with my typical Spotify campaigns, for example. Andrew from the future here. So just to kind of take away a little bit of anxiety that you might have, I wanted to show you how results can sometimes split between devices. So to get to this view, I just went to breakdowns on the right. It might be off the screen here for you, but on the right there's a button called breakdowns. You can go to platform and device, and then you can sort by which platform they're on and which device they're using. And we can see here, I can scroll to the right a little bit, and you can see the number of results and the cost per result for different devices. And so I have two different ad sets here. Most of my results came from the pop music one, but you can see that Android made up 60-70% of the results, and iPhone was the remaining 30-40-ish%. I think it's more like 75% was from Android devices. And the cost per result across this was a little bit cheaper for iPhone, but it found more people at roughly the same price for Instagram, Android smartphones. And then this other ad set, just for comparison, most of them were also Android, but iPhone was cheaper, which is kind of, I'm surprised by both of this. Usually iPhones aren't cheaper because there's an extra step in the conversion. But you can see it's not like the end of the world. Like if iPhone was by far the most results, I'd be a little more stressed out. But anyways, back to the video. So I encourage you to read the article yourself and see if you can dig out anything else about it, and then comment down below. And also, what do you think about my new studio? I'm not done setting up all the lighting and stuff, but I made some good progress. So I think it looks pretty dope. So let me know what you think about that in the comments as well. If you hear any noises in the background, it's because I got a beautiful dog sitting in the corner. So he's trying to sleep as well. But yeah, this is the first time I've shown my new studio on camera. So let me know what you think. If you want to learn more about Facebook ads and how I set up my campaigns and wrote my music, you can check out this playlist right here or buy my course. There's going to be a link in the description as well. So thank you very much for watching. Don't be too scared, and I'll see you in the next video.